John 18:1. Tauta epon, Jesus exelthen suntois mathetais autou, peran tu kemaru, tu kedron, hapu ein kepas, eis hon eis elthen, autos kai hoi mathetai autou. We begin here reading, after he said these things, Jesus went out of the city of Jerusalem with the disciples of him, with his disciples, beyond the valley of Kidron, where there was a garden, into which he and the disciples of him entered, right? Into which he and his disciples entered. Oh, there's so many fun things we could look at here. Let's look at apon to begin with. Maybe you recognize that participle ending and that second aorist stem. Indeed, this is a second aorist active participle. It's nominative masculine singular because it's telling us about the nominative masculine singular, Jesus. And when you see there is no article in front of the participle, bam, you know it's adverbial. And from the context, we're going to translate it temporally. We're going to add in the word after. After he said these things, right, looking back at chapter 17, the big long prayer we just read there, after he said these things, and then we pick up here, Jesus, right? Jesus went out. That's just that ex eilthen. It's just from ex erkomai. Remember the second aorist form of erkomai is eilthon. So ex eilthen, that's a third singular ending. He went out. Now let's look for just a moment at this form right here, the tu kemaru. I would not be surprised if you don't recognize that, because that word occurs only one time in the New Testament. That's here, only one time in the Greek New Testament. That's called a hapax legomenon, a one-time spoken, once occurrence. The lexical form is kemeros, and if you've ever been to Israel, this is what they call a wadi. A wadi. It's a narrow valley or ravine where water only flows in the rainy season. But maybe valley is the best translation here, right? The Valley of Kidron, the Kidron Valley. And this word garden right here, that word only occurs 5 times in the New Testament, 4 of them in the Gospel of John. One final thing I'll note here, maybe you noticed this word eis eilthen. You parsed it as a aorist active indicative third person singular, and you might say, well, that's third singular. He entered. Well, there's the he. Well, what do I do here with this additional part to my subject? Well, we have a compound subject, don't we? We have he and his disciples. So if we have a third person plural subject, we would expect would be a third person plural verb, but instead we have a third singular verb. But it's not uncommon in Greek to be reading along and have a singular verb. You have a third singular verb, and then you might have a singular subject, but then you sort of expand the subject into a compound subject. A.T. Robertson called this construction the Pindaric construction, where you have a compound subject and a singular verb. He called it that because there was a Greek poet, Pindar, that frequently did this. But so don't let that throw you off.